Does this sound like you? Catch after catch after catch. Wouldn't you rather be able to cut all the way through your ring without getting a single catch? I got tired of getting those catches, so I came up with something that we're calling a non-slip ring chuck. And I'll show you the magic here in just a minute. But I cut all the way through with a very wide parting tool, didn't get a single catch. Keep watching, I'll show you the secret. And here is the secret. The non-slip ring chuck has a square drive, a positive square drive. We're using a spoil board so we don't cut into our chuck. We didn't get one single catch all the way through. Anyone making bowls from a board on the lathe will benefit from this method. Pressing the blank up against a friction chuck is much faster than using a round waste block held in the four-jaw chuck and having to remove and reinstall it for each ring. This method using the tailstock saves a ton of time. We recently turned a blank 1 1/4 inch thick with our prototype Big Boy parting tool. One of the challenges we faced with cutting rings that thick using a plywood backplate as a friction chuck was keeping it from spinning and causing a catch like you just saw. We used spray contact adhesive, attached sandpaper to the plywood. It worked, but not very well. So what I was thinking about is how we could provide a friction chuck with a positive lock. Although the lathe might stall if we got a catch, the blank would not spin against the friction chuck. My solution was to use a 2-disc friction chuck with a 4-inch square in the center of the front plate. We epoxied a 4-inch square waste block to the back of the turning blank. We'll discard it later or turn it down and use it for the base. That will fit in the recess of the front plate and stop the blank from rotating. It gives a positive lock and works like a charm. If we wish to avoid making cuts directly into the front plate of our high-density polyethylene, we'll need to create some kind of spoil board. It should be inexpensive, made of readily available material, and work with our square waste block. Drawing from my CNC experience, I have a solution. Regular cardboard is approximately an 1/8 inch thick. Cut an 11.5 inch disc with a 4-inch square hole in the middle. Slip it over the 4-inch waste block against your blank and mount the whole thing into the non-slip ring chuck. It's that simple, cheap, and effective. I've used this cardboard trick for years with my CNC when I needed to cut through the material, but I didn't want to destroy my CNC table. Using this common cardboard spoil board trick, your non-slip ring chuck should last indefinitely, and you should be able to use the cardboard spoil board multiple times before you have to discard it. Best of all, the non-slip ring chuck can be used with any thickness or size blank. However, it's not suitable for 10-inch swing lathes as the discs are 11 3/8 inches in diameter. I want to mention here that if you happen to make bowls from a board using any device, doesn't matter whether it's one of your own design or whether you're using our Easy Cut system, as long as you are cutting rings on the lathe using a parting tool, this is a chuck that you can use. When it comes to cutting rings on a bowl from a board, everyone asks me where to cut. The right answer is the left corner of your parting tool should split a very thin pencil line with the waist curve just to the right. The previous slide showed a 1/8 inch wide parting tool. We use that for clarity. This is our 3/32 inch P-type parting tool that we supply with all of our Easy Cut from a board system type 2. It's the same. The left corner of the front of the parting tool should just split a very fine line with the saw curve actually being to the right of the line. We're very happy with the results we got in a blank that was 1.5 inches thick. We were using this as we experimented and tested a prototype for thick wood. We got a less than a 1/8 inch overlap, which left plenty of room for final turning. You start the next ring based on the size of the opening in the ring you just cut. For example, if the opening in your ring is 6 inches, then you would cut 6 inches. The way we measure the opening, because it's never usually an even number, is to use a zero centering rule. And what that means is the center of your stainless steel ruler is marked with a zero, an indicator mark, and then it's inch to the right, inch to the left, 2 inches right, 2 inches left, and so on, all the way out to the capacity of the ruler. So place your ring on the ruler until it reads exactly the same amount on each side. Write that number down and take the blank that's left and mark that, placing the center of the rule on the center of your blank. Mark that exact spot, and I usually run a circle all the way around my blank so I can have a good visual guide to start my cut. This is the actual fit we got before we glued up this blank. This particular bowl, the blank was 1.25 inches thick. We were doing some testing with a larger parting tool. You will need to provide the 4x4 squares for the waste block. The cutout in the front plate of your non-slip ring chuck is 4 inches square and 1/2 inch deep. You may use 3/4 inch material for the waste block by using 2 pieces of the spoil board, which are approximately 1/8 inch thick. So 1/2 plus 1/8 plus 1/8 is 3/4. Your blanks need to sit firmly against the non-slip ring chuck front plate. We will provide you with a cardboard spoil board, but recommend you save it and use it as a template to make more, or you can order the 8-pack when you place your order. Epoxy. We recommend using 5-minute epoxy and waiting 1 hour for it to fully cure, or you can use yellow glue if you use like Titebond 2. We suggest letting it cure overnight for best results. You're dealing with shear stresses here, so it needs to be fully cured. Hardwood works best for the waste block. CDX grade plywood is not recommended as it is prone to separation. They don't use much glue. Baltic birch plywood might be okay, but we haven't tried it. The non-slip ring chuck is 11 3/8 in diameter. You can successfully use larger blanks. The rings will just fall behind the chuck when you cut fully through. I want to mention here that if you happen to make bowls from a board using any device, doesn't matter whether it's one of your own design or whether you're using our Easy Cut system, as long as you are cutting rings on the lathe using a parting tool, this is a chuck that you can use.